Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Flameworking demonstration. My name is Kieran. I'm going to be your flame worker today. Now it runs off of propane and oxygen, and most of that oxygen helps to push that heat out towards you guys. So I'm feeling relatively cool, literally and figuratively. So right now I'm just gathering glass in between these two rods, and this is going to build the core of what I'll be making for you today. And you may be asking, well, what is she going to make? Well, I won't play the game of cat and mouse, and I'll let you know. I'll be making a cat today. It's okay to laugh, I'm here all week. So you can see I have this rounded form here, and that's already pretty close to the type of cat body that I like to personally work with. Something a bit rounder. I kind of like those more chunky cats, if I'm honest. So I like to use this sort of oval form. Now, I do want to angle this rod up, or feel free to come right up to the sides of the booth. I promise I do not bite. So now, I need to start attaching some legs to this cat. After all, it needs something to jump up on my bed with. So, I'm going to heat this nice and hot, and I'm looking for a white hot connection on both pieces of glass. And once it's nice and white hot, I am going to connect those two, and I'm going to let that sit for just a bit. And this creates a hot seal. A hot seal is a permanent connection between the glass I'm adding and the glass I'm adding to. So now I need to make the little cat paws. So the way I'm going to do that is I now have this sort of random appendage. I'm going to heat just the tip of it. And something interesting with glass is when it heats up, it'll always want to revert back to a spherical shape. So now that I have my sphere, I'm just going to gently press down, and now I have my first cat paw. And you all can see that up here. And now I get to do something really fun. Do the same thing again. So, I will say that I've only had about a year of experience with glass, which doesn't sound like a long time, and that's because it isn't. But I'm not even considered a beginner in glass. To be considered a beginner, I'd have to have at least 6 years of experience. Some of the people that work here full time have 25 to 30 years. For reference, that's longer than I've been alive. So here is cat leg number 2. And while I do this, I might as well mention that some of you may notice that when I put the glass in the flame, it becomes orange. But if you are looking through this purple tinted window here, or even looking at the monitors, you'll notice that that orange flame does not show up. There's an actual reason for that. And the reason, well, first let me explain the orange flame. That is called soda flare. The reason it's called soda flare is we are burning sodium off of the glass. So that chemical reaction creates that orange flame. And now the reason why we can't see that orange flame on the monitor, or by looking through that purple lens there on the front of the panel, that is because you are looking through something called didymium. And didymium actually filters out that soda flare. So it allows you guys to see what I'm doing. It also allows me to see what I'm doing because it's the same thing that is on my lenses. They are not sunglasses, I'm sadly not that cool. Literally and temperature-wise, but... So now, I am on my 4th and final leg, and it is a bit tricky because I'm making sure not to accidentally heat those other legs when making these attachments. That is definitely something that I have learned, is how to use my heat source. And this might be a sort of pro or a con to flame working, is learning where you need your heat and how you should heat your glass. But also the awkward positions you have to put your hands in to be able to get that sort of angle. So it just takes time and practice. And honestly, if you guys wanted to get hands-on with glass, roughly tell me the temperature. Sadly, I'm not a thermometer, which would be very helpful in this situation. But I'm just heating up both the rod and the underbelly of the cat. And now I'm just going to let it chill. Just going to vibe here for a second. I do that little hand motion to make people think I'm cool. But now, I have given myself a temporary handle on this cat. Now, I do want to be careful. This is what's known as a cold seal, a temporary connection between the glass I'm adding and the glass I've added it to. With enough of a vibration, this will come clean off. So now I get to play my favorite game of rotisserie cat. Just slowly rotating the cat in the fire. The cats will now definitely be coming for me in my sleep. But you can see as that glass gets hotter and hotter, it becomes very malleable. This is very easy for me to move that glass. But now, I'm going to start creating the neck to my cat, and the way I'm going to be doing that is by slowly pulling that rod upward, and that'll help me mainly make the neck of my cat and maybe a bit of the head. But I'm just going to slowly pull it upward, and I'm not going to get that much glass, but... So, maybe that's what happened to the dinosaurs. They all became cats. Well, luckily we can fix this issue by using the properties of the glass. Remember how I mentioned when glass heats up it reverts back to a spherical shape? Well, by using that property, not only can we get this long neck to sort of revert back into the body, we can also use that to make a base to form the cat's head from. So I am just slowly flipping this glass back and forth, making sure that it's all melted nicely to each other. Here. And now I want to give him some detail, so I'm going to let that set up for just a second, and I'm going to grab my tweezers, and all I want to do, just a little squeeze and push, and I have now created eye sockets. Now this is going to help me place some eyes later on, but it also allows me to help form the muzzle of this cat. So I'm going to heat this smaller rod just to the point that it's hot, that it'll actually stick to the glass. And I'm going to heat up just the bridge of the nose. And once that's nice and white hot, we're going to drag that down, add a bit of material to the chin, and then pull forward. And as you can see, I now created a chin and a snout for my cat. Now I'm going to melt most of that off. And if I were making a dog, I would leave most of that material there and make a sort of button nose. But since it's a cat, I want that to meld back into the head quite a bit. Kind of like that. So now we have our cat snout. And now I'm going to go ahead and add those eyes and nose to this cat. And I'm going to add on of metal oxides. So I'm not sure the exact metal oxide used for black, but I do know that for blue, we use cobalt, and for pink, we use real gold. It explains why Barbie is so freaking expensive. Well, now we have the eyes and nose of our cat, but there's one last thing, and that would be the ears. And now I'm going to heat that ear up again just to the point where it becomes malleable. Not enough where it starts to melt. And then I'm going to grab that ear and pull up. You can kind of see that I've now created a point using that rod. And all I'm going to do is melt that off a tiny bit. And there is the first cat ear. And I'll show you guys up here on the monitor. And now comes a bit of a tricky part, and that's adding that second ear. Now, some people will actually laugh when I say that, but the reason that this is so tricky is because of that first ear existing. So I need to hold this flame in a way that it doesn't heat that first ear, but it also will heat the second ear where I need it to be heated. And that can be difficult, but with time and practice, you start to learn how to hold your sculpture. And that's where those like awkward hand placements kind of come into play. So now I am heating that up, squeezing that ear, heating that up again just to the point where it becomes malleable. Grab and pull. Another hard part with this is getting everything symmetrical. Most of my designs are asymmetrical, mainly because doing anything symmetrical is hard. But with that, I have finished my little cat sculpture, so I'll give you all a look before I take them off of that rod. And I'll show you guys on the monitor here. Isn't he cute? But now I have to take him off of that temporary handle. And the way I'm going to do that is actually really easy. So I'm going to take my tweezers one last time, and I'm actually going to heat them up. I do this so I don't accidentally